All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is another one brought to you via the generosity of a viewer. So huge thank you to Jonathan for sending this knife along for review. I have been recommended by a lot of people to try out and to review some Boker knives made in Germany, in Solingen. And I just don't have any, haven't gotten the opportunity to get any. And Jonathan offered to send this one along, and I really appreciate it. It makes it so that I can make reviews on knives that people are interested in without having to buy every knife out there. And it's really helpful for the channel, and again, I really appreciate it. So thank you to Jonathan. And as I mentioned, this is a Boker knife. It has this number here. I did look up the name of the knife via this number, so it must be like a model number of some sort. But what it's called is the Boker Club Knife Gentleman, and it comes in this nice box here. You can see it's kind of like a double fold box. It is magnetic, and then it comes with a couple pieces of literature here. There's an English version and a German version. I'll show that here just so you can take a quick look in case you are interested. You can pause the video and read that. And then it also comes with a nice microfiber style pouch here with a nice, cinch up thing. So that's a nice touch because it is a very high-end knife, relatively very high-end knife, especially in the production world. Certainly custom knives can go through the roof and everything, but that's one of the things here with these Bokers that has kept me from getting one for myself. That is that they are a little bit more expensive even than GEC knives. So I looked this one up, and it's about $195 in the US. Just want to mention that is, according to, I think it was the CEO or the president or something of Boker. I was watching a video where he was talking about upcoming knives, and he did mention that one of the reasons that their knives are more expensive here in the US is because of import tariffs. So just something to be aware of. It is a little more expensive than typically a GEC might be, certainly more expensive than most case knives, but it is a high quality knife here. So let's take a look at the knife. First of all, this is desert ironwood scales, and they are very nice looking. You can see that it has a nice grain on both sides that are a little bit matched there with the direction of the grain. And then it has the Boker tree shield. This shield is, as far as I can tell, pinned. You can see that there is a little pin, spot there. Now it does look like it's on both sides, so I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they set it up so that either of these liners can be the shield side liner. Of course, I didn't take it apart or anything to check, but it does seem like this shield is pinned, though I'm not 100% sure on that. And then it has nickel silver bolsters here on both ends, as you can see, and it is what you would call an equal end cigar pattern. The blade is a spear point, and it's N690 steel, so it is a stainless steel. You can see the tang stamp here, which shows that it's made in Germany. Not Boker does have some knives that are, not made in Germany, but it doesn't have like a date or anything like that, so that's something to be aware of. And then it has kind of a match strike pull there, not the most aggressive match strike pull, but pretty good looking, and definitely different looking, I would say, than something like a Rough Rider match strike pull. It's got, I guess, just a little different look to it. But it is a spear point, like I said. It's a little bit different than a spear point you might see on a GEC. So I'm going to give you some comparisons here to a couple GEC knives that I think are good comparisons. So this is the number 35, and you can see that it also has a spear point with a long pull and has the same type bolsters, these what you might call threaded bolsters, and is the same type pattern. Here's another 35. This is the earlier Churchill. It has a clip point, so it's a little bit less, close of a comparison, but just to give you that, visual comparison there. Now, a couple differences in the pattern. I'll show you these two. You can see that the Boker is a little bit more bulbous. It's a little bit less straight in its length on this side and this side, and then it comes down to a little bit thinner and more sharp of a curve on the bolster than the GEC. So hopefully you can see that pretty well there. The GEC has straighter lines on the long ends and then a little bit more rounded bolster compared to the Boker, but not hugely different. And then the same can also be said for the blades. So here is the Boker blade, and this spear point is not the most pointy spear point around. It's maybe even going towards like a Zulu type spear or something like that. It does have a little bit of a recurve here towards the heel or the sharpening choil or the ricasso, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's something that would sharpen out once you sharpen this knife. I, of course, haven't used or sharpened this knife. I don't want to, damage a knife that I don't own, but I did, take some time to check it out and see its construction and everything like that. But it does have a little bit of a recurve there, but then some straight edge and then a curve to the point. And then you can see it has this kind of abrupt curve from the spine with the swedge towards the point. And that's compared to the GEC, which has a little bit more straight edge and then a little bit more abrupt of a belly and a little bit less abrupt of a curve from the spine to the tip. So even though there's very similar lengths and they're both spear points, there are some differences there to be aware of. But as for the grinds on the Boker here, they seem well done. It seems pretty even. I'll show you this from this direction here. Seems, relatively thinly ground so that it would cut well. So even though it's a little different aesthetic to this blade, it's still, a blade that's going to work well. It's kind of, I think, just preference, whether you like the more bulbous look both on the handle and on the blade. The construction seems really nice. So you can see there's no gaps really there. The back spring is slightly high at full open, but not really more high than a GEC might be. It's pretty much exactly even at half stop, and then at full closed, again, pretty much perfectly even. So just a little high there at full open. Not something that I really worry about or care about, but just something to be aware of. The covers fitted to the bolsters, it's really well done. There doesn't really seem to be any gaps at all there. I'll show you those. So really well done on the fitting between the bolsters and the covers, and then the pins are also really well done. You can see how really even those are and really round they are. That's really nice, and it is a different look than, again, GEC. GEC has these recessed spun pins or recessed pins, and then these spun pins, which sometimes have a little bit of an uneven look to them. So those ones aren't too bad on that 35, and these ones actually don't have that. So, a little bit different look, and a lot of people do find this style of pin to be more classic and more suited to the traditional look. I kind of am more used to GECs, but I do like this look. I do think that it looks really good, and it certainly is well done here. And just nicely made. The action on this is really nice. You can see that it snaps really nicely to both half stop and full close, and it's very smooth. I mean, really smooth. I don't know, sometimes you can kind of hear smoothness on a knife, so I'll stop talking for a second. Just really smooth opening and closing. So really nicely made. And nice materials also. I think one thing, you can certainly get GEC knives with Ironwood. A case knife in Ironwood might be coming up towards this price. And then one thing you don't get on GEC a lot is stainless steel. Now they do have an upcoming run of knives, the 89, that's going to be in stainless steel, but it's pretty, infrequent that they make knives with stainless steel, or at least folding knives with stainless steel. So if you're looking for a knife that is really that quality, the quality that GEC brings, but in stainless steel, and a little bit easier to get, to be honest, not to get too much into that whole conversation, but a little bit more available, then this might be a good option, because it does offer that type of quality, that type of construction with, stainless steel, nice materials, really great construction, and a good look. It does have a little different look than the comparable GEC, but Boker makes other knives. I do think, though, from what I've seen, that a lot of their knives have kind of that more bulbous look. They have a little bit different aesthetic in the shapes of their patterns and the shapes of their blades than GEC knives. But I've really enjoyed checking this knife out. It does make me want to get a Boker, because I think it just makes sense to have one in my collection, in my carry rotation. And I think it certainly would be worthy of being carried alongside the GECs and case knives that I typically carry. So again, this is the Boker Club Knife Gentleman in Ironwood and N690 steel. Again, huge thanks to Jonathan for sending this along. I really appreciate it. It allows me to keep the content coming on Knife Thoughts, and I really enjoy getting to check out knives that are loaned like this one. So one more time, thanks to Jonathan, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. And then check out my social media at Knife Thoughts, Facebook, Instagram, everything like that. And my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.